This takes him into 0. Real boxer, real world champion boxer. That the only other time he was in, for the fans to get mad with, that was against Fury's Tommy Fury, but it wasn't that level, obviously, and all the size things you just rightfully pointed out. But he would have been in there with, you know, I mean, it seemed crazy.
Gervonta "Tank" Davis has shocked fans with his new, noticeably stronger physique as he prepares to face Jake Paul. Known for his power and compact build, Davis appears to have added serious muscle, leaving many wondering if he's gearing up to match Paul's size and strength directly. Recent training clips show a heavier, more imposing version of Tank, sparking major discussion across the boxing world. In preparation, Davis has pushed his workouts to the limit, mixing strength training, intense sparring, and endurance sessions to support his larger build. Reports say he's added more resistance and compound weight training to increase upper body power while keeping up his speed and footwork. He's also been sparring with larger fighters to get used to facing heavier opponents. Even so, the size gap remains huge. The fight limit is set at 195 pounds with 12-ounce gloves, while Davis usually fights around 135 pounds. Many observers question whether bulking up could slow him down, possibly affecting the quickness and power that define his fighting style. UFC President Dana White has been skeptical of the matchup. He said not many fans are truly excited about it, though it might help Davis regain attention and momentum outside the ring. According to White, Paul's height, reach, and natural strength could let him control the fight by leaning in and using clinches to limit Davis's offense. He views this not just as a boxing contest, but a test of whether Davis can handle Paul.
Is picking Jake Paul to beat Gervonta Davis. This is not a fight that I'm excited for at all. I would rather have Gervonta Davis fighting in a real boxing match against the likes of Lamont Roach, Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, Emmanuel Navarrete, anybody that is in the 135-pound division and around. That's where I want to see Gervonta Davis fight. However, we live in a world where everybody is trying to do things as big as possible. And the biggest fights possible right now, unfortunately for the sport of boxing, is an exhibition fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. So I do like it for this reason, though. I like it because it is allowing Gervonta Davis to have a fight that is going to be big and that the mainstream media is going to have to cover, the mainstream media outside the world of boxing. Gervonta Davis has been, without a doubt, blocked, having venues blocked, having fighters, having other promoters paying fighters away to go different directions from Gervonta Davis. So Gervonta Davis was in a bit of a hole. And he gets an opportunity to fight Jake Paul for $200 million or whatever. I don't mind it at all. As long as Gervonta Davis comes back to the world of boxing after he gets done with this, hey man, you got your money, no worries. But you gotta love Dana White having the audacity to pick Jake Paul in this fight and says something to the effect that, hey, he was talking to Logan Paul and said, hey, when you were fighting Floyd, you know, there was this, you're a gigantic guy, big size difference. There was a time when Floyd Mayweather Jr. hit, had an overhand right that landed flush on Logan Paul.
Eye contact and appearing cautious next to the much larger Paul. While some fans think he was just keeping calm, others believe he may have felt the weight of the size difference. Veteran analyst Teddy Atlas also commented, highlighting how drastic the size gap is. He joked that Tank might need a ladder to reach Paul's chin and argued that the matchup looks more like entertainment than a fair fight. Boxing champion Shakur Stevenson shared a similar opinion, calling the fight a poor choice that benefits business more than the sport. He believed
Jake is big, Tank has a lot of skill, but I don't think he's the same Tank that we saw the most incredible knockouts. We saw him, Lamont Roach performed great. They went to draw, and you know, I just don't know. And Tank walked away. I don't know if he loves it enough to beat a guy who outweighs him by 80 to 100 pounds.
Meanwhile, continues to build his career by mixing showmanship with boxing. Instead of chasing ranked contenders, he often selects matchups that draw attention and generate views. Facing smaller or older opponents helps keep his brand visible and profitable, even if the sporting value is questioned. MMA veteran Nate Diaz dismissed the fight altogether.
Facing off. He just did. I've seen other face-off this Tank done. He gets in their face and they're intense and he looks good. He looked very meager up there. You've had 8 fights and you're going to go tangle with Tank Davis. And the story instantly comes out. Jake is so much bigger. There is such a compliment to Jake within that insult. It is meant to be an insult. It is meant to take away from a potentially glorious moment for Jake. But where the compliment comes is it means the public believes he's going to win. That's what...
That modern boxing often prioritizes attention-grabbing fights over meaningful contests. So, the big question remains, is this fight an exciting crossover event, or just another publicity stunt that does more harm than good? All size and physical pressure. Former UFC fighter Mike Perry criticized the idea as well, saying Davis seems more interested in big paydays than real boxing challenges. Perry questioned whether Davis still has the same drive that once made him a champion, and even
they should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract. But I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance, you know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but a little different. The size difference was, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping, and it made me think. And I'm going to ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm going to ask him because I know he's an expert in this area. But it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, a.k.a. Thunderlips. He was Thunderlips back there. And I thought I had it right, and it was confirmed to me. It's Rocky 3.
The physical mismatch makes it less about skill and more about spectacle. Leonard Ellerby explained that Davis had gone through personal struggles and wasn't mentally ready to add more pressure at that time, which is why the fight didn't move forward earlier. He said Davis was focused on managing personal matters rather than proving.
Maybe he'll fight Jake Paul instead. What do you think of that?
I think that's terrible.
Why?
I get it, because at the end of the day, it's the money business, and you want to make the most money, but from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me, and if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah.
There's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Really?
Suggested that Paul might be more motivated at this stage of his career. His comments reignited debate about Davis's focus and hunger for competition. During their face-off, some noticed that Davis looked more tense than usual.
Ellerby said, to tell you the truth, Gervonta Davis couldn't get up for Lamont Roach. And what does that mean? It means that he could not get inspired. that he was not motivated to fight Lamont Roach, that his mind was not in a place where it was like, yeah, okay, let's get it. And he was going to war with Lamont Roach. He was going through the motions with Lamont Roach during the training camp and could never really get himself motivated to really give the best of himself against Lamont Roach. And that probably affected him during training and during the fight. And that is something that can happen, especially if you really look back on what happened with the Lamont Roach fight and all of the ups and downs about that fight being made. Because first, if you recall, he wasn't supposed to be fighting Lamont Roach. The person he was supposed to be fighting was Vasily Lomachenko. You know, the guy that everybody says that he doesn't want to fight, that he didn't want to fight. Gervonta Davis was up and prepared to fight Vasily Lomachenko,
calling it more of a business event than real competition. He criticized the trend of pay-per-view matches built for hype rather than sporting merit, saying it hurts boxing's reputation. Former UFC champion Michael Bisping also expressed concern about the extreme weight difference, noting that it goes against the balance that boxing should maintain. He compared it to Paul's previous matchups, such as the one with Mike Tyson, which already raised eyebrows. Many fans share Bisping's frustration. Gervonta "Tank" Davis has shocked fans with his new, noticeably stronger physique as he prepares to face Jake Paul. Known for his power and compact build, Davis appears to have added serious muscle, leaving many wondering if he's gearing up to match Paul's size and strength directly. Recent training
Jake Paul versus Tank Davis is actually happening. What the f is going on? I guess Tank is going broke because that's the only justifiable reason you ruin your legacy against a guy like Jake Paul. And yes, I do think Jake Paul is going to win. Tank Davis is a much better boxer and has crazy power, but he's 5'5", 130. That power is not going to carry over against someone who is 6'1", 210. And it's not like Jake is bad. Yes, his fights are boring. He says he's going to step in the ring and sleep his opponents, but the only people who end up sleeping are the audience. Mike Tyson fight. But at the end of the day, he's a big guy with power who's training boxing full time, and he has beaten some legitimate competition. Woodley, Nate Diaz, Anderson Silva, Mike Perry had a competitive fight with Tommy Fury. But it's crazy how particular Jake has to be when selecting his opponents. They have to have enough clout to be interesting, enough skill to be taken seriously as a threat, but at the same time have clear weaknesses and disadvantages that Jake and his team can exploit to win. Now that he's fighting an elite boxer, he has to fight someone 7 weight classes down. I mean, Tank could win if he makes Jake do a very aggressive weight cut, but I just don't see that happening. I got Jake by 3rd round TKO. He should put me on the co-main event and allow me to fight Francis Ngannou. That would be an easy first round knockout.
Davis seems more interested in big paydays than real boxing challenges. Perry questioned whether Davis still has the same drive that once made him a champion, and even suggested that Paul might be more motivated at this stage of his career. His comments reignited debate about Davis's focus and hunger for competition. During their face-off, some noticed that Davis looked more tense than usual, avoiding EY.
I gotta ask you, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. Does Davis have a chance?
Gervonta is a great boxer, but he ain't gonna be.
So you got Jake Paul by knockout, or?
No, I don't got anybody, but I don't think.
He's just too small.
It's just. I don't want to beat up somebody that small. I don't want to. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think of the fight?
I don't want to lose to somebody that. There's no point in the fight. It's a great fight, actually. I'm not hating on the fight, but I think. My thoughts on it is let's watch it, see what happens.
Ryan Garcia said his boxing's turning into WWE.
Yeah,
with that type of matchup. Do you agree? Last thing, White House card, like he said, you want Conor McGregor?
Yeah, but the whole thing's at WWE, so
right.
It's like, at least that's happening and it's getting something to talk about, something to watch, and I'm looking forward to that fight, actually.
Eye contact and appearing cautious next to the much larger Paul. While some fans think he was just keeping calm, others believe he may have felt the weight of the size difference. Veteran analyst Teddy Atlas also commented, highlighting how drastic the size gap is. He joked that Tank might need a ladder to reach Paul's chin and argued that the matchup looks more like entertainment than a fair fight. Boxing champion Shakur Stevenson shared a similar opinion, calling the fight a poor choice that benefits business more than the sport. He believes the physical mismatch makes it less about skill.
That is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, oh, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word, whoa, 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 stop being such a bully. Leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta Tank Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5", okay? They're smaller guys, you know, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers. Yeah.
Skill and more about spectacle. Leonard Ellerby explained that Davis had gone through